Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the subject English for Job Interviews. My name is Hương. I'm a teacher in the Department of Foreign Languages, and I'll be guiding you through this journey to help you become more confident and successful in job interviews. In the previous lesson, we learned how to prepare for the day before the job interviews and how to dress for the interviews. Before we come to the lesson today, I'd like to review what we learned in the previous lesson. We are going to do it by using QR code. You can scan with your smartphone or tablet to quickly access information. This will take you to our review activity. Once you're in, you'll find a series of questions and based on our last lesson. You should spend 5 minutes to complete them. Okay, I hope that this activity can remind you of the previous lesson. Now we move on to today's new topic. Today we will focus on commonly asked questions in job interviews. Understanding these questions and preparing thoughtful responses will help you feel more confident and relaxed during your interview. Firstly, we need to know the importance of preparing questions. Having a list of questions written down in advance shows that you are well prepared and can make you feel more relaxed during the interview. So try to prepare questions on a wide range of topics. Include questions about the technical nature of the work, the company culture, and industry trends. Now, we will have 2 minutes to list some commonly asked questions that you know. Okay, now we'll compare your answer with some commonly asked questions on the slide. Today we'll discuss how to answer them effectively. Let's dive deeper into each question. Question 1. Tell me about yourself. This is often the first question in an interview and sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. Okay, we break down what makes a good response. You can structure your answer by starting with a brief overview of your educational background. Next, highlight your key accomplishment, work experience, key career moves you have made, and skills you have learned. Finally, connect your background, interest, and qualifications to the job you're applying for. There are key points you need to pay attention to when talking about the self. You should avoid a long, detailed biography because you can risk putting the interviewer to sleep. So, don't launch into a long diatribe about yourself. However, don't be too brief. It might make you seem inexperienced. And try to avoid things like, I love being with my children, or anything very personal. So what should you say? You should think of pertinent points. Maybe that you enjoy being with people, that you enjoy a challenge, that you love researching things, or that resolving problems. It's better to give a couple of examples. And remember to keep your answer work-related and share your career story rather than personal details. Now we compare 2 responses and see if you can spot which answer is better. You have 2 minutes to read the first response and decide if it works or not. Do the same for the second response. Okay, time's up. So which response do you think is better? Response 1 is too personal and includes irrelevant details. It doesn't present a clear professional story and focuses on hobbies and personal interests that don't relate to the job. Look at the underlying phrases in response 2. Is structure professional and directly relates to the job? It highlights education, relevant experience, and skills gained from both academics and internships. There are some tips to answer the question, tell me about yourself, for experienced and inexperienced candidates. If you have several years of experience, start with the moment you graduated and work them through your employment experience since then. Look at the sample answer for an experienced candidate. Now skim the example. In the sample, the candidate provides a brief educational background, highlights relevant work experience, mentions specific skills and accomplishments, and connects the candidate's background to the job he's applying for. Now move on to how to answer the question, tell me about yourself, for inexperienced candidates. If you're a recent graduate, start with the fact that you just graduated and explain why you chose this career path or field of area of study. Now you have 2 minutes to read the sample answer. In the sample, the candidate starts with the candidate's recent graduation, explains why he chose his field of study, highlights relevant skills and experience from their studies and internship, shows enthusiasm and readiness to contribute. That's all about how to answer the question, tell me about yourself, in the job interview. Now move on to the next question. Question 2. Why do you want this job? There are some key points when you answer the question, why do you want this job? Firstly, match your capabilities and experience to the good points of the post. You need to show the interviewer that you understand what the job requires and that certain aspects of it excite you. And then explain what you are looking for. You can mention that you desire more leadership, responsibility, or opportunities to work in a specific area or develop a particular skill. You may say you want more exposure to many things such as technology and a different type of work environment. Alright, now look at the example. Look at the example. You should spend 2 minutes to read the example. In the sample, the candidate matches the candidate's strengths to the job requirements, shows excitement about the role, and explains what the candidate is looking for in their next career move. Okay, now I hope that you know the way to answer the question, why do you want this job? Next, we come to question 3. What do you know about the company? This is the chance to show that you research the company and are interested in working there. So, how to answer this question? You have 2 minutes to think about the way to answer this question. Okay, let's see some tips to answer this question. Candidates should keep the answer as brief and complementary to the company as possible. Admire the company's achievements. For example, your company is one of the names I think of in this field. I know that, you should say company name, is highly respected leader in field with a strong reputation for specific characteristics such as customer service, innovation, quality products. And you should name specific facts you found while researching the company on the company website, social media channels, news articles, and more. For example, founded in year, your mission has been to, you can mention briefly the missions or vision of the company. Your flagship products, such as specific products or services, are well known in the market for their qualities or strengths. I recently read about your recent accomplishment or announcement. This accomplishment indicates your foresight and capacity to adapt a competitive environment, which I admire much. Okay, so now we discussed how to answer the question, what is your biggest weakness? But before you answer this question, I want you to spend 2 minutes to note down the ideas for answering this question. Okay, let's compare the answer with the following succession. When the interviewer asked, what is your biggest weakness? They want to see if you can be honest about your shortcomings and how you handle them. So don't deny having any weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. Denying them can make you seem dishonest. Besides, don't state any weaknesses that raise red flags. It is important that you are honest during your interview, but being too honest prevents you from landing the job you want. So what should you do? You should try to think about your faults and then list them and then try to turn them into positive things. Identify a weakness that has no possible relation to the needs of the job. If there is a minor part of the target job where you lack knowledge, but knowledge you will pick up quickly, can't prove that you will pick up quickly, use that. And it's better to give ways to limit weaknesses. Okay, now we read the example and see how does the candidate answer the question. You have 2 minutes to read. In the example, the candidate clearly states his or her weakness, and then describes the actions to overcome this weakness, and provides evidence of improvement and how it has helped. Okay, when discussing weaknesses, we also think of strong points. So the next point I would like to make is discussing about your strengths. Question 5. What are your biggest strengths? So you have 2 minutes to note down the ideas to answer this question. Okay, let's share your answer with the and compare the answer with the following succession. To answer this question, you should list your good points and remember, be honest, but don't go over the top. Each point should comprise one word or short phrase and should relate to your behavior at work, such as flexible, good at keeping to deadlines, can work under pressure, problem-solving skill. Then select 1 or 2 points from your list that are relevant to the jobs and give specific examples and put together a clear and powerful answer. Look at the example. I'm great at troubleshooting IT problems, and last week I have sold a ticket that no one else on our team could fix. And then you should describe the actual solution. When talking about your weak points and your strong points, remember, use the job description to frame your answer. The strengths and weaknesses should reflect the requirements of the role. Moreover, ensure that you highlight your skills that are listed in the job description and explain how you will gain and improve skills that you lack. So, now we will discuss the next question, question 6. What makes you think you are the right candidate for the job? You will have 2 minutes to note down the ideas for answering the question. Okay, time's up. Now we see some tips. When answering this question, you should consider all your attribute, your previous experience. Is it relevant to the post? And try not to repeat what you have already said. There's some tips for answering the question. What makes you think you are the right candidate for the job? Firstly, restate that what you believe the job requirements are, and you can provide evidence that you have the skills and the right personality. Secondly, show enthusiasms, and conviction that you are the best candidate. Then, know that you can bring to the position and how it helps the company. And now, you should spend 2 minutes to read the sample answer. Okay, now we will see how does the candidate answer the question. The candidate mentions relevant experience, previous job as a translator at ABC company, emphasizing 5 years of experience, and then he highlights skills and competencies, proficiency in specific languages and translation tools. Then candidate shows awareness of the job requirements, such as translating documents and ensuring consistency and quality. And besides, soft skills and enthusiasms are also mentioned in the sample answer. Let's move on to the next question. Question 7. Why are you leaving your current job? Interviewers ask this question to understand the reasoning behind the career moves and any gaps in the employment history. Here are some tips. Don't say anything negative about current employer or having difficulty in getting on with people, and don't worry about gaps. So what should you say? In your answer, you should mention what you learned from that job that applies to this one. In other words, the experience you gained from the past jobs is an indicator of how you will perform in this one. You should mention why you left or why you are leaving. You should have an acceptable reason for leaving every job you have held. So now see some good reason that you can provide. You can give positive reasons for moving on from your last job, either involving different work or preferably taking up a new opportunity to study, do voluntary work, or whatever you say you have been doing since you stopped work. Or you can use LAMS for leaving a company. So what does LAMS stand for? Location. The commute was unreasonably long, or advancement. There are no opportunities for growth, or money. You are underpaid for your skills and contribution, or pride or prestige. You want to be with a better company, or security. The company was not stable. And here are some examples. I need a change of environment to motivate me. Or you can say, I want to develop a new skill that isn't required in my current job. Or I don't feel like my current role is challenging me anymore. Or you can give the reason like, my last company was a family-owned affair. I had gone as far as I was able to go. It just seemed time for me to join a more prestigious company and accept greater challenges. Now we come to the last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? So you should spend 2 minutes to think of the way to answer this question. Okay, now we see some key points when you answer this question. You risk losing the job if you seem too ambitious. However, you may equally lose the job if you don't appear ambitious enough. Employers may also use this question to gain a better understanding of your future goals and how those goals, job goals fit with the job they are offering. And they want to assess whether you will be satisfied and engaged in the role over the next few years. So what should you do? What should you say? Firstly, you should clarify career goals and objectives. Thinking about the next 5 years that you would like to see in your career. Maybe gaining new skills or holding a management role or obtaining any certificates, or working on particular projects. Secondly, make links between the job description and your goals by looking at the job description to identify which qualities or abilities you already have and which you would like to gain more expertise in. So I want you to see the following example. You should spend 2 minutes to read the example answer. Okay, now we see in the sample answer, the candidate emphasized the desire for growth and improvement, and he highlights ambitions and readiness for new challenges, then demonstrates commitment to continuous learning, and concludes by explaining how growth will benefit the company. Okay, we have just discussed how to answer some commonly asked questions in a job interview. So, come to conclusion. Remember that master commonly asked questions requires understanding the question, preparing job responses, and practicing, and using the approaches to provide confident and concise responses that highlight qualifications and suitability for the position. To warm up in Unit 1, we have learned 3 main parts. Part 1, before the day of the interview. In this part, we discussed how to prepare for the job interview. Part 2, how to dress for the interview. And we mentioned some tips for dress for both men and women at job interviews. And Part 3, about commonly asked questions. We discussed how to answer each commonly asked questions by mentioning some tips and some examples. For homework, imagine you are in a job interview. I want you to read the job description on the slide and then answer 3 questions for the job. Okay, great job today, everyone. Remember to keep your answers positive, relevant, and linked to the job you're applying for. Practice regularly to refine your responses. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.